Less than 4 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 struck a flock of Canada geese. Both engines lost thrust immediately. The aircraft began to drop over the Hudson River. Captain Chesley Sullenberger came over the address system with a short command. 3 words: brace for impact. Flight attendants echoed the order. For the passengers gripping their armrests, hearing those words felt like a death sentence. A persistent urban legend claims this command is actually fatalistic. The myth suggests the posture is secretly engineered to snap a passenger's neck quickly, or simply to keep their dental records intact against their knees for easier identification. Bracing is a highly aggressive biomechanical defense. It is a physical strategy designed to preload the skeletal structure and turn a passive body into a compact, impact-resistant shield. Aviation authorities began rigorously studying crash postures after the 1989 Kegworth disaster. By analyzing the precise injuries of those who braced and those who did not, engineers and medical researchers started mapping exactly how a human body behaves during extreme deceleration. They identified 2 primary threats inside a crashing cabin. First is uncontrolled flailing, where loose limbs whip through the air. Second are secondary impacts, the moment a passenger's body strikes the seats, bulkheads, or debris around them. This chart shows the FAA-approved brace position for forward-facing seats. A passenger places their feet flat on the floor, tucks their knees, bends their torso entirely forward, and places their head directly against the seat in front of them, wrapping their arms for padding. By pre-positioning the head against the most likely point of collision, the passenger eliminates the distance their skull can travel. The spine aligns perfectly over a tightened lap belt, diverting the kinetic energy of the crash away from the fragile vertebrae and cranium and into the much stronger thighs and abdomen. Understanding the literal physics of the brace provides a template for surviving other types of sudden stops. The mechanics of anticipating a hit and aligning your structure to absorb it apply well beyond a falling airplane. Author Gabe Montesanti carried deep, unresolved childhood trauma. In her memoir, she documents her attempt to heal those emotional wounds by throwing herself into a highly volatile environment. She joined the arch-rival roller derby league in St. Louis. The sport is defined by extreme physical contact and unpredictability. Montesanti used the violent, high-impact collisions on the track to force herself to actively process the pain she had been ignoring. In roller derby, athletes must constantly pre-position their center of gravity to take hits from opponents. Montesanti found a direct parallel here. You have to align your physical body to stay upright on skates, and you have to align your mind to confront psychological trauma. Emotional bracing means recognizing that a blow is coming and actively preparing to take the force. It requires acknowledging the threat and setting your stance so you can absorb life's unavoidable collisions without shattering. Musician Sturgill Simpson confronted mortality directly on his Grammy-winning album, A Sailor's Guide to Earth. The record was announced with a lead single titled exactly that, Brace for Impact. Lyrically, the song treats death as an unavoidable final collision. Rather than retreating into fear, Simpson frames this awareness as an urgent mandate to his son to live a little while he still has the time. We see this mirrored across culture. Games like Robotech force frantic cooperation under strict 10-minute countdowns, while prophetic literature gamifies the calendar, tracking exact astronomical events to prepare. Across all these mediums, the command to brace serves the same function. It forces an individual out of passive observation and into a strategic battle plan, allowing them to maintain their agency even when facing an inevitable ending head-on. This chart shows the collapse of the independent journalism industry. Between 2008 and 2019, employment at newspapers specifically dropped 51%. As traditional revenues vanish, the institutions responsible for keeping the public informed are in freefall. To fill this financial void, massive non-governmental organizations and billionaire philanthropists have stepped in. Record amounts of donor capital are now flowing into the creation of non-profit newsrooms to keep investigative reporting alive. But this money rarely comes without a specific agenda. Prior to his arrest and the collapse of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried quietly funneled millions of dollars into major media outlets. He paid for sections explicitly inspired by his own effective altruism movement. Accepting these massive financial injections without strict structural safeguards leaves publishers vulnerable. It is the institutional equivalent of flying unbraced into a crash. The newsrooms trade their core journalistic integrity for the temporary illusion of safety. Media critics argue there is a clear solution to this dynamic. Newsrooms must build inviolable structural firewalls between the billionaires writing the checks and the editorial teams investigating the stories. These institutional walls mirror the physics of a pre-positioned body. They act as a strategic alignment designed to absorb the weight of donor influence, ensuring that even if the financial structure of a newsroom is shaken, the editorial core remains shielded from the secondary impact of bias. When Captain Sullenberger successfully ditched his Airbus into the freezing waters of the Hudson, 155 people walked away. That survival was not guaranteed by luck alone, but by a combination of masterful piloting and a cabin full of passengers who correctly executed their safety protocols. Whether hurtling toward a river, confronting your own psychological demons, or managing a collapsing global industry, passive surrender is not an option. Bracing for impact is an active, highly strategic alignment designed to absorb the damage, maintain structural integrity, and ensure you survive the hit.